Aloha, Richard Halverson here. This is ITS321, and today I'm gonna. This is the second class of the semester, and so I'm going to continue with chapter 2 and the first assignment and so on. So let me share my screen. 3. And okay, so here ITS321, and if we look at the syllabus, we are starting chapter 2, and we're going to talk more. I can talk more about this one. If we look at, I always before I start the class, before I see you, I go in here and see where I left off, so there's some sort of continuity and so on. And I can see that I had just finished the first couple parts of the first assignment. So I'm going to go over that, and I'm quite sure I did finish going with section 1.4. Oh, yeah. Okay, and so let's look at the textbook. Yeah, let's look at the textbook. We are okay. So 1.4 and then 1.5. This is you can try this out if you're on a Windows machine. I think I'm quite sure you have this with Mac too, but we're going to be using your server. All right, so that's where we are. And if we start looking at chapter 2, here is the here's where we really start to get into the, I would call it the mathematics of databases. It's relational algebra, or you can, or sometimes it's relational calculus, there's this thing called the relational model, which is what the theory behind describing how tables work. And so that's what we're going to start doing in this chapter. And we're going to define tables and columns, primary keys and foreign keys, what it means to have referential integrity, joins, where you combine multiple tables together into one big looking table, selecting certain columns and rows and so on. Table views, these are called views, and they look like tables, but they're actually a construction of tables. And then what it means, what normal forms mean, it has to do with reducing redundancy. And we get more into structured database design and see how far do we get in normal forms. Do we get all the way to 3rd, 4th, Boyce Codd? Okay, so we get past Boyce Codd. We don't really talk about 4th and 5th normal form in this chapter, but we do get into 4th and 5th normal form in our assignments. Okay, and you know, later on I might actually, with this textbook, you can add sections, and I might add my own section on 4th and 5th, because there are times, there are some pretty good examples of when you want to go further than Boyce Codd, and you know, that would cover that. All right, so but before I get into chapter 2, the reason I was not diving right into it is because I wanted to go back and finish what we were doing last time, and that was this MySQL server assignment, getting your web server to work. And the reason this is a good idea to do it now is because the sooner you get this to work, the sooner you can get comfortable with it, and the sooner you can actually start looking at, you know, an actual database and trying things out on a database, on a platform that you're going to do your assignments on, your database assignments on. But also, it's a platform that's that's easy for me to come in and look at. If you're having a problem with something, I'm able to go right in there and figure out what's wrong, and most times fix what's wrong, tell you what I fixed, and then you can proceed. So we were into assignment 1. We finished the first part and the second part, and that was pretty quick. It's the third part here that I want to do today, but I've switched over to another. Let's see, I've got I'm going to use a different server, Joe SC, Joe Schmo with a C. Okay, and this is a blank website, except for I've got this folder here called Python. I had some other stuff in here, but otherwise it's blank. It's got nothing in there. So I'm going to do like you can do and log into my cPanel. And so I'm Joe Schmo, and the password is, let's see, SJ, I think it's, hope this is right. Yes, it is right. Okay. And so everybody's is, okay, so it's, you know, everyone's got a server. It's your uhusername.its321.com, and you go to /cpanel to get to where this is. Your username is your login, and your password is this, where for Joe Schmo it was capital S, lowercase j. It's the, you know, your last name, uppercase, first name letter, lowercase, and then your 8-digit UHID, and then a %sign and a hashtag and an exclamation point, and that's your password. And then once you get in there, you can change it. And so I've logged into presumably a brandy new website here, and in fact, okay, so you can log in a file manager, and there's going to be a bunch. Oh, when you first log in, it's going to look like, I know I'm repeating stuff I did last time, but I'll be real quick here just to get this account up to speed. When you first log in, it's going to look something like this. There could be some other files here that were installed when your account was created. I just went in and deleted all these files. But anyway, you're going to go into public_HTML, and there's probably nothing. No, there's going to be, there may be a bunch of files here, but I don't have any effect. I think I'm just going to, what is this? Is this very important? Well, anyway, never mind that. All right, so so the first thing that we're supposed to do is set up a oh shoots. Oh, I didn't do this right, because the PHP, wonder what, when I deleted that, when I deleted my htdocs file, I deleted something I shouldn't have deleted. So let me real quick here grab let's see, I'm gonna okay, when you come in here, it should be blank like this, and the first thing you want to do is you want to oh, make sure you can see hidden files. Did I just do that? Okay, settings, show hidden files, because your default will be, it won't be shown. There's no other hidden files here. There is a hidden folder which looks like that, but you should see a file called .htdocs. No, Htaccess. You should see a file called .htaccess, and what .htaccess should have in it is, let me edit it. .htaccess should actually have this in it. Okay, so now my Htaccess has this in it, and what you want to do in this first assignment is to put this there, to put this in as the first, at the very top here. Now, before I do this, what we're doing is we are going through the assignment, and to go through the assignment, click on this grading assistant here in your assignment, and put in your JSCHMOE, and the password is, oh, I wonder if it's this one. And so I'm going to do the URL direct test. I'm doing this is the first, the second, the third. This is the first, the second, and the third. So this is how you check to see if you did it right. So I'm going to click on this, and I get it's failed. Okay, it failed because I haven't done it yet. Okay, and the first thing you're supposed to do is when you go to your URL. This is Joe Schmo's URL. When you go to your URL, it should automatically redirect. I'm talking about if you go to HTTP, it should automatically redirect to HTTPS. So so to do that, you put in you put this in there, which is this. You copy that into your .htaccess file. You save it, and now it should be active. And now, when you go to, well, you should actually test it like this. Now, when I go to http:// js like that, it automatically redirects. As you can see, it automatically redirected to HTTPS. And so when you test it, you're back here. When you test it, let's see if this works. I go here like this, and then boom, I got all the points. Okay, that's great. So the second one now is to this is a PHP program that just says hello world. It's named test.php. So we want to copy this into create a new file called test.php. There it is, and now we can edit it and edit, and we end up with that. So this is a simple PHP program. So in this class, you're going to learn a little bit of PHP, and you're going to learn a little bit of Python, specifically how to connect to databases and to do stuff. And then learning all the rest of the language should be pretty straightforward if you're ever given the task of writing a PHP program to do this, or a Python program, because you already know how to program. All right, so what this does is it grabs out the version number, the PHP version number, and it also looks to see if you've sent it any name value pairs, up in the URL. So anyway, so I'm going to save this. And so now when I go back to now when I go back to here and hit refresh, I see the test PHP. I don't see the .htaccess because that's hidden, because it starts with a dot. But when I click on this, let's see if it executes. It does execute. It says hello world, tells me the PHP version. It says hello there, and according to this program here, I can throw in a name value pair up in the query string, and it's going to take it tests to see if I put one there. If I did put one there, it sets this name variable equal to what I put there. Otherwise, it puts the word there. There, and here it says hello, and then whatever the name is, which is why this just says hello there. So if I do $name equals Joe Schmo, enter, it says hello, and then hello Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo. It can be anything. It can be Joe Chang. Okay, so that's that part. So that's how, no. So that's how this nice little PHP program works. You notice that in PHP, all variables start with a $sign. You don't have to declare them beforehand. Do you have to? Yeah, you don't. Some languages you do. You don't in Python either. But and then there's these libraries and so on, which is how you get the PHP version. This is how you print something out. The \n is a return. We are sending out just a plain text file back to the browser. That's what this is for. It says we're sending a plain text file. We're not sending HTML. You could put HTML here, then you would tell the browser to recognize HTML stuff. Anyway, so let's do the third one here. See, there we go. Okay, so let's do the third one. So to do the third one, we have to actually add this into the Htaccess file to tell it that if it sees a script that ends in .py, then that script is a CGI. Or if you tell the browser, if you tell the web server to grab a file and it ends in .py, then it's actually a script. So you tell the browser to execute the script, and the script, the first line of the script is going to say what the language is and what interpreter you use to process the script. Okay, so this is telling. Okay, so this is saying that it's a CGI script. So execute the CGI script, and then this is the first line of the program, and this says to process this program, go look in here for this program, or this system program, the Python 3 interpreter, which is in here and in here. All right, so first of all, let's copy this. Oh, no, I'm gonna not copy that. I'm just gonna copy this first, so we can see what it looks like if I make a mistake. Okay, so I'm gonna copy, and then I'm gonna go back over to, wait, I'm gonna leave that. Oh no, I'm gonna have to edit the Htaccess file. Let's see, I can open it up again. I'm gonna close this. I'm here, I'm gonna create a new file, and it's gonna be called test.py this time for Python. And I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to paste in my Python program, and it looks like this. Here I'm doing this content type text equals plain again. I put a \n, new line. I do this hello world thing. I want to get the system number, so the system version, or the Python version. So I have to import the sys module. And in fact, so the version number, this is VER is a variable. And so I'm printing out what this Python version number is. And then I'm going to do that name value pairs thing that I did with PHP. And so to do that, I have to import the CGI module. And then I declare, this is actually in Python, it's called a dictionary. It's actually an associative array called form. So all the name value pairs that come in are going to get stuck into this thing, which is called the Python dictionary, which is associative array. And then this checks to see if there exists a form name.value. In other words, is there a name value pair? If there is, if it exists, it sets this variable called name equal to, sets name equal to it. Otherwise, it does there, and then it prints out hello, just like the PHP version did. Okay, so I'm going to save this. And what happens if I try to run it? Okay, let's go back here. Go back here and refresh, and now we see this test.py. And so now I'm going to press this test.py, and it's, oh, wait a second, all I see is my code. Okay, well that's because I didn't tell the web server that this is a script. Okay, now let's just see what happens. Let's go back here. I go, okay, so but let's say we still want to debug the program. So we can go back to cPanel. We can go down to click on terminal, and wait till this opens up. And so I'm at Joe Schmo. I can do ls-l and list ls-l. Oh, there we go. Lists my root directory. I want to go into public underscore HTML, cd public underscore HTML, enter. This is Linux here. You're learning a little bit of Linux if you don't. You can do dir also. There's the files that are in here, and we see there's test.py and there's test.php. Okay, so let's try. Now I can say let's see if Python. Let's see what happens when I type Python. Python. Okay, look. So there is a Python in there. It's Python 2.7.5. Okay, I don't want Python. So let me exit out of here. EXIT, left, right, enter. Now I'm out of there. So I'm going to do Python 3. That's the one I want. Okay, Python 3.6.8. Okay, so on this server, this should be the same. This should be the same as your server. You want to use Python 3. Okay, so I'm going to exit. Let's get out of this. Okay, now I want to see if this works with Python 3. So I'm going to do Python 3 space test.py. Oh, look, it works. Okay, first thing it does is it sends out this content type, which is what you have to send to a browser. If you're a web server, you want to send that to a browser. And then there's got to be a blank line after that. And then here's hello world. And then here it's printing out the Python version like I asked it to. And then here's this hello there thing. Okay, because there are no name value pairs. Okay, so we know that the Python program works. It's just that it's not working through the web server. Well, that's because we didn't, we know why it is, because we didn't do this. We have to tell the web server. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put that in my .htaccess file. So I'm going to go back here, edit my .htaccess, edit. So, gallery. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put it right up here. Enter up. Paste. Okay. So this says, you know, it's a script. Okay. So I'm going to save this. And now I'm going to hit refresh and see what it's, by the way, it's still not going to work. So I'm going to hit go here, and I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to click here again. Boom. Internal server error. Okay, so the first thing, so it turns out that I also have to set the permissions to 755. If we go back here and we just hit refresh and see what the permissions are. Oh, what did I do? The permissions are 644. Oh, that's not, it's got to be 755. So click on it, do a right click, or you can click on permissions up here. And we want it to be, so make, just click execute across here. Execute, execute, execute. Because you want to execute this script. Is, for some reason, we don't have to do it for PHP, but for this we do. So we do that change permission, and now it's 755. Now let's see if it works. It still might not work. Oh, now it works. Okay, hello world, there. And if I do question mark name equals Joe Chang, it says hello Joe Chang. All right, great. Now let's see. Well, okay, all right. If you still have problems, if this still doesn't work, it could be that that somehow the file got created using carriage return plus line feed as the line terminators instead of just carriage return, instead of just line feeds. And if I can, let's see, let me try to, so I'm going to do a little diversion here just in case anybody has this error, because you probably will sometime. If you're going to ever write any more Python, Python for some reason is real picky about this kind of stuff. And so if we go back to the file manager, I'm going to create a new file. I wonder if this is going to work. Is there an upload? Oh, there's an upload. Okay, so I'm going to upload a file that I have. Let me go to my, let's see, let me find it over here. This one, okay, this is it's called test_crlf.py. Oh, is it done? Okay. So if I go back here and I hit refresh, oh, there it is, test.py. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. Okay, well, first of all, we see it's 0644. Let's fix that. Is this going to work? Edit that. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Click on that, do permissions, do 755. Okay, that's fixed. Same size. And now I'm going to, well, let's take a look at it. I think you want to believe that something's really there, and this is what it is. It is, oh, it's this. It looks like this. It says, it's just a comment. It imports these three things, and it just prints out hello world. That's all it does. I've commented everything else out, but let's see if, but so I don't see, there isn't anything in here that should not work. Okay. So I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to try to run it. Refresh, and let's see, CRL. Okay, I still get the internal server error. So I'm going to go here. This is really a digression here. I'm going to download this file, and I'm going to put it on my. No, in fact, I'm going to open it up in this test.py because that's the editor that I want to look at it in. Yeah, I got to do that. So let me get rid of all this stuff. Okay, so this is my editor. So I'm going to download this one. This is one I just created that works. You know that this one works. I'm going to download, and it's going to open up in my editor here, and it looks like this. And then I'm going to download this one, and I'm going to open it up in the same editor, and it looks like this. Now, first, let's look at the one that works, test.py. If we look at the hex viewer, can you see this? View. Well, anyway, I don't know if you can see this. I guess you have to squint, but we see here that this here. Okay, so right after the 3, there's two returns. There's a return there, and there's a return there, and then there's a P. Okay, so that's at the very top. And if we look here, and we look at hex viewer, we see this is the Python 3, and then there's these 2 dots here, which is a the line feed, 0A is hex 0A is line feed, and then 0A line feed again, and then we're back to the P of 7. If we look at this one that doesn't work, and we do the same thing, we look at the hex viewer. Let's go back to here for a second. We see that there's the same thing in Python. It's just a plain. Oh, maybe that's no. This should still work. It doesn't matter. I can change it to 3, because this is Python 2 compatible. But there's a nothing, and then there's two returns in a row, and so if we look at the viewer, gee, I hope I'm right here with that. It's 0D, which is carriage return, and then 0A, which is line feed, 0D, which is carriage return, 0A, which is line feed, and then we have the 23, which is the hashtag, and here's the 6E, which is the N of Python. Okay, so that's the difference in these two files. This file does carriage return line feed, and this file, the one that works, just does line feed for a new line. So if we now all right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that let me go to terminal. Okay, so let me see what this looks like. Terminal Python. Okay, let me first see what that. We're doing this test underscore CRLF. Okay, so I'm going to do Python, which is Python 2. Test underscore CRLF.py, and it works. Hello world. Okay, let me go back to this, and I'm going to make it say Python 3, and I'm going to Python 3 wants to see left and right. Wants to see this, and wants to see this. Wants to see this. I think this will work. I don't think I need to. And I can save this. This is CRLF. Yeah, save this. And I go back to my terminal. And now I can do Python 3 test underscore CRLF.py. And it just doesn't work because of that. Okay, let me don't need that. Don't need this either. Save. Okay, so this works. Now this works as a Python 3 program here, but it still does not work here. And the reason is because those carriage return line feeds. Well, the way to get rid of those carriage return line feeds is, let's go back here for a moment, hit refresh. Why does it keep going back? I should hit reload up here someplace. I see, I hit refresh there. Okay, so I'm clicking the wrong button. Okay, here it is, and it's 276. Okay, so that's the size of it, because I remember I added the parentheses and so on. So it's 276 bytes, and that's with the carriage return line feed, and so and it doesn't work. It doesn't work and we're saying that it is a Python 3 program. Now I'm going to do this. This is how you fix it. You type this SED -I, and then this is a search and edit. Change all the, or get rid of all the. This is how you designate the carriage return. It's the 0D. Or no, yeah, 0D DOD. Yeah, you want to have you just want to have the line feeds. This gets rid of the carriage returns at the end of the line. Okay, so there's going to be the carriage return line feed, and this means this is where the line feed is, because it's the end of the line. And so that's what this does. And so this is a search and replace, and it's going to get rid of this, and it's going to turn it into nothing. That's what that's there. And you want it to do it for all of them. And then this is the file name. Okay, so I'm going to copy this part, And I'm going to try to paste it. Is this going to work? No, it's just going to work. Paste. Okay, that. And so I'm going to get rid of all of the \r's in test underscore crlf.py. And it does that. Now, when we go back to here and hit refresh, no, hit reload, it's not 276 anymore, it's 263. So you got rid of all of the /\r's, and then when you hit refresh, it worked. It should work. Okay. So anyway, that was a 15-minute diversion. Anyway, let's see. Okay, so the good question: why does Python need different permissions than PHP? You know, I think it has something to do with the web server's ability to somehow know that I think the web server is what's responsible for taking the PHP script and running it through the PHP server or PHP processor, so it's not necessary to do that. Now I'm going to try something else. That's a good question. So I'm going to see. So I'm going to try to do our PHP program is not set to be executable. So I'm going to try to do this PHP test.php. I think it's still going to work. Yeah, it still works. Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. It's just different, I guess. I'll try to find out an answer to that question. All right. So that takes care of this whole assignment. And so what you can do now, so what I should be able to do now, yeah. So I got the 3 in there, which is test.php and test.py. So I should be able to go back to this and put Joe Schmo in there and do the PHP test, and boom, I got all the points. And then I should be able to go back and do the Python test and got all the points. Okay. So that's how you do assignment 1. And assignment 2 goes right into, you know, we have these tables here, and we're gonna you're gonna, you know what kind of normal form this is in. It's first normal form. It's not in second normal form, and you want to convert this into BCNF, Boyce Codd normal form, the highest one usually that we talk about in most cases. And so this is really easy to do. It's you do it by projection, and this is more an exercise in an exercise in getting used to creating a database over here. You're going to create a database over here, and then you're going to access the database using this nice little tool here, and you're going to be able to go in and do a bunch of stuff. And so this is just a way to do all that. And after that, you will be really good at, actually it's, this is where we really get into doing it on tables and so on. Oh, here we talk about denormalization. Maybe it's more like here. But really, you don't get into SQL until chapter 3. I've rearranged this textbook, and I put SQL back as early as I could, and still have you not be completely what is all this, and where you learn stuff, you learn how to do the SQL, and then later on you learn why you're able to do what you're doing. But that's how this is. And then we get into the more sort of the academic side of database design, where if you're building large databases, you should pay attention to the stuff in here and you know, do it this way, and so on. So so if we go back to, we've got about 15 minutes. So let me start talking about chapter 2 a little bit. So back before the 70s, back before 1971 or so, databases were just, you know, a bunch of code where, you know, you designed some sort of database based on strictly on the application, and you had files, you stored stuff in files, and you wrote a bunch of programs. You probably had a bunch of subroutines or methods and so on to access stuff. And it's not until this guy E.F. Codd came along and sort of visualized taking relational algebra and the concept of a relation and, you know, key values and all that, the relational algebra terms, attributes and so on, and said, you know, this is all you need. And once you implement your databases in using the relational model, then you're separating the, you know, you make it independent. You make the mechanisms or the modeling of the database independent of the application itself. So so that's when relational databases were born, and then along came SQL, and SQL didn't really focus on the relation as a whole. It focused on the rows, you know, the rows of the table basically, and how to manipulate the relation using by manipulating the rows and columns of the table. So it wasn't quite the same as what Codd had in mind, where back in the beginning, where a relation would be a variable, would be like a variable type, and you would do these operations on these different variables, and these variables were relations, and in database terms, those variables were tables. And for about 4 years, I used a different textbook, and I taught it that way. And I thought it was a great chance to teach ICS majors here at the University of Hawaii relational databases that way, because in this class, it's kind of like the first time a lot of you have seen SQL. And the trouble with teaching using the relational model is, whereas the relation itself is the variable, is that if you're already spoiled by knowing SQL, then it just seems like you're wasting your time, and you know, in a sense you kind of are, but it turns out that waiting until halfway through the semester for us to start learning SQL was too long to wait, and people, you know, who did well in this class still ended up not knowing SQL very well, which is not a good thing, because really in this class, the one thing you want to leave knowing is SQL, you know, quite well. So that's what this class focuses on, and we put this stuff early. Now there's these things called, you know, not only SQL, and to me it kind of mixes SQL with JSON, and you know, you can do a lot of things. So and I think we might get into a little bit of that at the very end here. But anyway, so this is E.F. Codd is the kind of the one that we're talking about, and so we're just going to spend most of our time with this kind of stuff, and we're going to use MySQL specifically. And okay, so here, which database is relational? I guess it would be so we're supposed to figure out which one was the first model was first implemented as system R and released as DB2. Okay, so it must be DB2, huh? All right, relational models originally developed for which types of applications? Must be this one. All right, so so make sure you understand that. Here is just terms, and you know, the domain set of domain, what a tuple is, and a relation is a set of tuples. So this is like a table, and these are like the field types, and this is a row. This is a row in the table. So and relations have no inherent order. The rows can be in any order, and actually the columns, the columns should really be able to be in any order also. But in SQL, we take advantage of the ordering of the columns. So when we write SQL statements, we can just assume a column ordering, and then we don't have to always say, well, this column is this column. It's kind of like passing parameters to methods in programming. You almost always pass arguments to a method. The arguments are in a particular order, but they don't have to be. In most languages, you can put the name of the argument equals the value of the argument, comma, the name of the argument equals the value of the argument. So it's the same kind of thing, and SQL is the same kind of thing. And in fact, yeah, you'll see that in update statements, it's always name value pairs, and with insert statements, you can take advantage of the ordering if you want to, or you can just do name value pairs also. All right, so here it talks about some of the distinctions. Relational tuples differ from mathematical tuples. In mathematics, the order of the tuple values is significant, whereas in the relational model, it's not significant. Although, as I was just saying, there are cases where order matters. Which terms are commonly used in relational database processing? Relational data. Well, I don't. It's either this one or this one. So I'm just going to guess. No, it's this one. All right. This is relational algebra, I guess. This is relational database processing. We call it tables. We call relations tables, rows tuples, and attributes columns. All right. Are these relations the same? Okay, we've got 8 mango false, 8 mango false, minus 11 water mango. I would say they are, because it's just that the relations are in a different order. In the relational data structure, which components are named? I'm not sure what the answer is. I'm going to guess this one. No. Oh, it is, right. Okay, they're all named. Okay, great. Okay, so relational operations, these all have SQL counterparts. These are relational model stipulates a set of operations on tables. And we're going to get much more into relational algebra right here. But for now, they're based on set theory, and selecting means, selecting some rows. What you end up with looks like a table, but it's slightly smaller than what can be smaller than what you're selecting. Projection, when you name the columns, when you actually name the columns in a select statement, then you're doing a projection. A product is all a possible combination of rows in two tables. So that's one way you can do these things, by doing the product and then eliminating the combinations that you that are illegal or that you don't want. Join is a way of joining two tables together, but it's based on a particular, instead of just a product which combines all of them, a join will match up, say, a couple of columns, a column in one table with a column in another table, and the values in each of the rows of that column have to be the same, and then the rows are joined up. Intersection is combines two tables by selecting only the rows common to both, and okay, so it's the intersection of two tables. And here it says rows. Usually intersection, the row, rows common. Oh yeah, rows common. The columns have to be the same, and then select the rows that are common. The difference is you find the rows in the first table that are also in the second table, and you remove those rows from the first table. So all the rows that are in the second table are removed if they are in the first table. That's the difference. So here is an actual SQL statement. So what's the result of a relational operation? It's a table. Name 3 relational algebra operations. This one. So union, yeah, combines two tables. They have to have the same rows and columns. No, same columns. And if it's a relation, if it ends up being a relation, then there won't be any duplicate rows. So duplicate rows are removed. Okay, for relational rules, what time is it? 10:24. Let's see, you can go through. We're still on section 2.1. So there's a database management system enforces all these rules. And that's what's so great about a database management system, is that if you try to do an operation where the end result will break a rule, then it doesn't let you do it. And this even this, yeah. So there's integrity rules, which have to do with the logical constraints that ensure data is valid and conforms to business policy. So like, for example, we'll see more what these have to do with, but things like, okay, so you have an employee table and a task table, and the task table relies on the employee table. Okay, so you have a task and you have a name of a task, and then you have an employee ID, and this employee ID has got to match up with some employee in the employee table. Well, what happens if you delete an employee? Well, if that employee has got records in the task table, what do you do with those records? Okay, well, you can do one of two things. You can, if you delete the employee, that means you have to delete the records in the task table too, because you cannot, because an integrity rule means you can't have a task over here that's connected to an employee that doesn't exist. That would make that record be, it's like an orphan or something. If you say that the rule is that every task, the employee ID of every task has to match up with a valid employee, then you have to do something if somebody tries to delete Sam Snead. Well, the other thing you can do is just not delete Sam Snead. You can say, wait, you can't delete Sam Snead because Sam Snead's still got 2 tasks going on. If you want to delete Sam Snead, the first thing you got to do is delete the tasks. Okay, or you can assign the task to somebody else, but it has to be somebody inside the employee table. So the database enforces all that. A unique primary key. If you define a column as being unique, then and you try to put another record in there that has the same value in that column, it won't let you do it. You can't have duplicate rows either. All right, so make sure you understand these. Here's a relational model that's 1227. Let's do this one, and then we can call it quits for today. Okay, which of the following are equivalent to the relational tuple this, and that? Select all that apply. Okay, I'm going to start it up. Which of the following are equivalent to this, and this? Select all that apply. Let's see. M and E not O. Does order count? I don't think order counts. So this Montenegro MNE, Montenegro MNE. Fedorica, are they all spelled the same? Okay, it's certainly not the third one because that's ME, not MNE. Montenegro, Fedorica. Okay, so I think it's this one. Yes. Relational tuple has no inherent order. Well, that was fun. Let's do the next one. Select the correct database term corresponding to the following mathematical term. So tuple is the same as a row. The relation is the same as a table. All right, the last. Classify each of the following as a structural rule or a business rule. Oh, good. It's good to distinguish between these. So a business rule is a relational rule specific to a particular database and application. For example, no unique column values, no missing values, delete cascade. Okay, delete cascade is what I was talking about here, where if we delete Sam Snead, if we do delete cascade, that means we're deleting these tasks that go along with Sam Snead. All right, those are business rules. Now, GM, so I'm not so familiar with these terms. Okay, different columns of the same table must have different names. Oh, geez, that's got to be a structural rule. All rows in a particular column must have known values. Okay, well, that's a business rule because that's just saying that you can't have null values. I guess that's a business rule. Yeah. All tables should have a primary key used to identify individual rows. You know, see the word should there? Unique primary key, I guess, is a structural rule. So I guess I'm going to say structural, but let's see if it's right. Okay, well, the reason I don't like that that's a structural rule is if there's no duplicate rows, then if you can't find a single column or some subset of columns to be used as a primary key, because there's duplication or whatever. If it turns out that you need every single column to define a primary key, then that's okay. So in fact, we'll look at cases where that's the case. So if there's no duplicate rows, then there doesn't really need to be a primary key because all of the columns together can be defined as the primary key. So anyway, that's another way of looking at it. All right, so sorry for going over. Are there any questions? All right, so I'm gonna I got a lot going on this week, which is why I'm only having one class this week. So I'll probably have two classes again, 2 classes next week. But if you have any questions, just email me or text me, or post them in the forum. And next week we'll finish up chapter 2 and get going on chapter 3. All right. Any questions? Okay.
No, I don't have any-
Pardon?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right. See you next week. Thanks for watching.